Okay, so let's get started. So I'll start with the overview just to make sure that folks are all starting from the same place. You probably remember in 2015 that we had statewide inquiry frameworks introduced based on the work at the national level on inquiry standards. And you may recognize this inquiry arc, dimensions 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there shouldn't be any surprise there, right? Dimension 1 being developing questions and planning inquiries. Dimension 2 being thinking like a historian, an economist, a geographer, and a political scientist. Dimension 3 being evaluating sources and using evidence. And Dimension 4, communicating conclusions and taking informed action. And as Kim said in her introduction, this is the kind of work that we want students to be doing really across their school day and across their learning experiences. So along with the inquiry frameworks, and they were well praised both regionally, nationally by folks when they came out. There was, though, a request from teachers and educators for more content guidance. And so that's what you're going to see today in the standards that we're going to share with you. They are still in draft. But the content standards that we're going to look at today for kindergarten sit within Dimension 2, so applying disciplinary concepts and tools. And we're going to zoom in specifically on the discipline of economics and what students will understand. So we can go to the next slide.
And here we go with the economics.
Yeah. So under economics, you'll find economic decision making, exchange and markets, the national economy, and global economy. You won't find those in kindergarten, but we did want to spend a little bit of time showing sort of the bigger picture of what we're trying to do with K-12 economics. So just a few words, though, to make sure we're kind of on the same page about what we mean by economics. So when we're talking about economics, we're talking about the discipline that helps students and helps us all understand resource and financial allocation and decision-making as individuals and as a society, whether we're looking at the national, the local, the global, whatever level or cut of society we're looking at. And we know that studying economics includes core knowledge and insights about financial management, budgeting, investing, and saving. And it involves studying the past, analyzing the present, and predicting the future, all part of what we do in social studies. And thank you, Jennifer, going to the next slide. Before we look at the standards, one other thing that I want to make sure we're all on the same page about is the coding system that's used in these draft standards. If you look at the oval, the black oval, that's the coding system there. The first thing you see is the number 5. That 5 indicates the grade level. It's not the grade level we're looking at today. The civ next to it indicates the discipline. We're not looking at civics today. We're going to be looking at economics. So you'll see ECO in that next part of the coding. And then the 3 there indicates the skill number aligned with the C3 framework or the inquiry frameworks. And finally, the A at the end there tells you the order of appearance. And then one other thing to note about the way the standards are set up is many of them come with EGs or examples in the parentheses following the standard. Those are not meant to be exhaustive or comprehensive. They are examples, clearly strong recommendations, but there may be things that aren't included there that really make sense for you to hit on with your students because those are very localized examples that make sense in your community. So we're not trying to say that list is the list and the only thing you should teach. And then just to remind you, you've probably seen something like this before. We are just showing you the K-5 portion of the courses and topics. But when you look at these, you should see a lot of things that look familiar because there wasn't much of a shift in terms of the courses and topics when drafting the standards. And then today we're going to focus, as we've already mentioned, on kindergarten, understanding my communities. So roles and responsibilities in a community, familiar places in communities, and then communities past and present. And then this is an important piece that I think we all know, especially because the people on this call are all in roles that involve multiple grade levels. So I think we all know that each grade builds on the next. And I think that's something great that you'll see in the standards, is that there really is this progression and it is vertically aligned. People took the time to intentionally make sure that that happens. So you'll see that things that Jenna's going to spend time on in the kindergarten standards, students really need those fundamental foundational standards in order to be prepared for what's coming in the next grade level. So every piece matters in terms of what comes before and what comes after, and then it all strings together into hopefully a really strong economics and social studies education for all of our students.
Okay, so what we're looking at today in regards to kindergarten in the economic overview is students in kindergarten are truly exposed to the world around them, but within their local community. Students gain an overview of services and goods that make our communities function. They identify jobs within the community, skills and knowledge base that are needed in order to secure those jobs. And they explore concepts relating to the cost of community goods and where those goods come from, as well as how banks support our personal and community efforts. So that is the overview of the standard. The main takeaway from kindergarten is the ability to prepare for first grade. This is a progressive, as we already covered. What is learned in kindergarten progresses all the way up to fifth grade. That content knowledge is so valuable, and students will be most successful when they have the foundation from each grade to build upon. So for first grade, the main takeaway is really the goods and services within the local community that will best prepare them. So again, this is just an overview of what was just stated. I provided it in this format in case this is easier. We can provide a snapshot. This could be a printed page. Really just helped break down what the standard means so that it's an easy access and reference point for anyone who needs it. Again, we're just using the definitions that goods are objects that we can use, and services are things that are provided for you that also benefit you. And again, we are a collaborative learning community. We all support each other. So please feel free to contribute standards-based learning activities into the chat as we deep dive through the economic standards. And again, we're going to consider the ways that they can be linked together that make it the most valuable and immersive learning experience. So our first standard is all related to community jobs. Our objective is that students will describe the skills and knowledge needed to do certain jobs within the community. I do hope as we progress through that you are finding that there are lots of activities that are going to be provided for you that are easy and quick takeaways to hit that standard that are also play-based. We are including these activities in books, and our intent is to make this more manageable so these standards do not feel like something new, but instead feel something that is approachable and easy to use so that the students are able to get that foundation. So the first activity that goes along with really understanding certain jobs in our community is a community job find, where a class can discuss various jobs they see people doing in the community, either from schema or newspapers. Interact. They can visit or invite community workers into the school, even on Zoom, to describe their role in helping the community and answering student questions. And then interview. Create a list of questions on what job qualifications each community helper needs to be successful, and ask the community workers in person, by Zoom, by mail, whatever works for your class in your region. There is a way to make this work so that we can invite the community in and have those discussions from the professionals. And we also have 3 more. Brainstorm job qualifications, so students can truly predict and state what qualities they believe each job would require of their employees. And then if they are interviewing, they can confirm their predictions. There is a matching game where students match the images of tools or vehicles or even uniforms to the correct community helpers. And then what is my job? Kind of like a headbands game where the student holds a job card to their forehead without looking at it, and classmates give clues as to what job they may have based on their knowledge of employee qualities and responsibilities. And then the students will use the clues to guess their job. And then lastly, Based on the 20 questions game, students can ask a teacher a predetermined number of questions to guess a community job that the teacher is thinking of. And again, using those skills and knowledge qualities that they know that that job entails. So it's just a confirmation that they have understood the task. And then there are multiple books that we have found that are wonderful supports for the Community Jobs Literacy Connections. Some are Whose Hands Are These? Helpers in Your Neighborhood. My First Book of Community Superheroes. Whose Tools Are These? Clothesline Clues to Jobs People Do. Helpers in My Community and My Community. And all of these are based with that kindergarten level to make these books more approachable and resourceful for the students. Our second standard is about the goods and services, and more particularly where they come from. So we really wanted students to have an understanding of goods and services, but also where are they produced from? Where are they coming from? So we're going to start with some activities that go over where they come from and using that knowledge of goods and services. And then if students need a backup or a little bit more in determining what is a good and what is a service, we have activities included as well. So the first one that classes can use is students can bring in objects from home, either a toy, clothing, books, food, and discuss where they are from and if it is a good or a service. In the grocery store, you can actually take students to the grocery store, or show them photographs of food from various sections, like the meat section, the fish section, dairy or produce. Engage students in a discussion as to how each type of food arrived at the grocery store and discuss if it was grown on a farm or produced. You can have students dress up. They can dress up or bring in hats worn by various community workers and discuss why people want the corresponding jobs, the services they provide, and the location that they are provided from. You can have students do a wishing well activity where they draw or design a wishing well and have students write or draw what they would like inside it. Explain that they have all wished for goods or services if they have, and discuss where they are from. Again, creating that personal connection to the content. And then these are activities that will further enhance the understanding of goods versus services if students require. So a wonderful connection is the story. If you give a mouse a cookie, students can identify what the mouse wants as either a good or a service. And you can create a T-chart with a list of goods on the left, and then have students discuss where they are from and add that to the right column. You can have the students participate in a stomp and clap activity, where you create a list of goods and services, reading one at a time, and students either clap for goods or stomp for services. Again, getting them physically involved and just making another fun way for them to be reciting that material. And then sorting that. Students sort images of goods and services into the correct category. And we have a few literacy connections we already mentioned. If you give a mouse a cookie, which is always a favorite, goods and services from around town, lemonade in winter, a chair for my mother, ox cart man, and goods or services. Our third standard is all about the cost of goods. So this is identifying the prices of commonly purchased items in local stores and restaurants and online markets. So corresponding activities that might be useful are playing shopkeeper and shopper. Again, going to those play-based activities that really immerse the students. In this activity, you can label goods in the classroom to reflect the cost of buying the item in the store or online. Students can then act out and practice mathematical skills to determine their shopping list versus what they can actually afford. So you can make this a fun activity regarding math. Restaurant menus, which always seems to be a favorite. Students examine local restaurant menus and choose what they would like to eat for their next meal. You can help students add the cost and discuss. And then grocery store comparison, going back to the grocery store or even just bringing those pictures into the class. You can show students 2 items at a time and guess which costs more, and then have a discussion. And Pancakes by Eric Carle. And you can read the story and have students identify and add the price of all the ingredients so the main character Jack can have his pancake. And again, those are a few of the literacy connections that can support this standard. So the first one, need it or want it. Pancakes. The plastic rectangle, Isabel's car wash, and do I need it or do I want it? The fourth standard is all about earning income. So students will describe how people in the community can earn income. They can be class entrepreneurs. I've seen this and students really get behind it where they get to design and make a button with a button maker or something else that they can produce in class. And then they sell it to the whole school. And the students can then choose an item off of a predetermined choice board where they can use their profit from selling around the school to buy something for the classroom. So they are truly becoming involved in that entrepreneurial spirit. Class jobs, students earn class bucks for completed work. Students can cash in class bucks for activities costing a preset amount. Income versus leisure sort. Students sort images of people engaging in work and leisure activities. And of course, how to earn money is one of the first books that we have. Again, going back to our entrepreneurial spirit and truly engaging the students in the act of making money and not just talking about it. Then there's Sunny and the 7 Streams of Income. If You Made a Million, Little Damon Learns to Earn, and The Bridge of the Golden Wood, all books about the entrepreneurial spirit and earning income. Now we have about our community banks, our last standard. Students will describe the role of banks in a community. Bank interest is our first activity. Students are given pretend coins that they can either cash in or cash in for a classroom supply like a sticker, eraser, etc. This can also be used with our class bucks or save in the class bank without telling them. And then at the end of the day, if they did not spend their money, they can earn interest on their investment and you can give them another coin or another buck. And then the class can have a discussion as to how interest works. The money cycle is our next activity. Students can sort images of money moving through our society. The functioning cycle is people receive money, they put money into the bank, which collects interest. They then withdraw money to make a purchase on a good or a service. Then the store owner who collected that money puts it back in the bank and the cycle continues. A few books that can support this are A Penny in My Pocket, The Missing Money, The Money Monsters, Just a Piggy Bank, The Story of Money, and 1 cent, 2 cents, old cent, new cent. As we mentioned earlier, it's always wonderful when you can just bring together standards to be able to truly immerse a student in the class within activities that are economic based and get them in a play-based arena and truly engaging with the material. So 2 examples of doing so is as students are exploring skills and knowledge that a community member needs to do a job, they can connect that good and service to that community member produces or where they produce them. And then ask students which jobs they are most interested in learning about and have a community member who does that job zoom in or visit the classroom and have students interview them. Students can come up with a list of questions whose responses would hit all the econ standards. In doing so, the common experience that all students can participate in can lead to further explorations of other jobs, goods, services, etc. Now, there are some vocabulary that are pertinent throughout the kindergarten econ standards, and they are as follows: community, responsibility, needs, service, helper, spend, income, cost, past, save, neighborhood, benefit, present, wants, goods, and banks. And as we mentioned earlier, it is truly a progression. So these words are going to help carry the foundation going forward to 1st grade. So we have included a visual of that progression. And you can see going down, just moving from top to bottom, we have kindergarten through 1st grade, and you can see where the words from kindergarten are now going to transfer over. And when you move to the right, you'll be able to see all of the words and vocabulary words that are recommended for 1st grade with the inclusion of those kindergarten words that are so prevalent. And of course, we know going forward to 1st grade, it is all about the goods and services.